Hanson, all of you, welcome to town. How's it going?
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Good, yeah.
We're doing good. Got a lot of stuff going on.
You do. June, July, both very big. 6th studio album, Anthem.
Yes.
What can you tell people about it who are just driving in their car this morning and they're like, hey, Hanson's on the radio?
Well, I mean, if you followed the band, you know that we've always loved classic rock and roll and soul music, and that's always going to be in our records. So I guess of those two categories, I think there's a little bit more rock in this record than the soul side. But there's plenty of the soul stuff. In fact, the first single really leans on the kind of more of a 60s retro.
Yeah, a little more Motowning, a little more R&B.
But the whole album, you know, it's just got some more weight to it. You know, there's a lot of the first track when you turn it on. Basically it's an AC/DC song. It's just straight up, just guitars, bass, drums.
And people are going, Hanson, AC/DC?
I mean, AC/DC was
it makes sense.
rock and roll. It was blues rock and roll, and you've got a lot of songs that were inspired by like a cool guitar riff, and then also, you know, this is a record going into it. You know, we kind of hit a wall, and we've been going hard, and we had to take a break before we went to the record, before just writing for the record, and when we all kind of came back together to focus on it, there was just a sense of size and space, and the word anthem came to mind because we were trying to, you know, multiple songs just had this sense of, you know, the kind of songs that people sing along to, the kind of songs that you can see in live, on stage, and
it didn't feel like a club. It felt like an arena. You know what I mean? It just felt bigger.
Yeah. So
louder.
We're excited. The new single "Get to Go Back," which I think we're gonna play. Right?
Absolutely.
Is out now, and it is definitely more of a bridge from the last album that had a lot more kind of 60s soul sort of inspired stuff. It's got a lot of cowbell on the record, you know, singable melodies.
I got a fever, and the only cure is cowbell.
But the other thing is the tour is now announced. People can buy and get tickets to the tour. We're going to be all over the country, and I'm excited to just see fans, you know, bring this stuff to the stage.
Now, when you guys take space and go apart and kind of, you know, recalibrate before a record, your brothers, y'all live near each other. How do you actually take space from each other, and what do each of you do?
Well, I mean, we all are into different things. I think that's probably the biggest thing. I mean, we all have our own hobbies. What do we each do? I mean, all of us are creative in different ways.
Yeah, Zach, what do you do?
Yeah, I built a treehouse basically.
Really?
Yeah, that was really fun. It was surprisingly creative. Like over last summer, I just built my son a treehouse. It was kind of crazy because I just walked out and was like, let's do this. I've got no plans. I'm just gonna go buy some wood and some nails and some screws and just start building something.
No, did he get to make a request? When my dad built me a treehouse, I asked for a balcony on it, and he like swore all day long trying to figure out how to do a balcony.
Yeah, he wanted a rope bridge.
Okay.
And we totally did it. It's
Nice.
awesome.
Very nice.
It's awesome.
It's a good rope.
It's like a 15-foot rope bridge. It's bad.
You trust your carpentry that much?
I put so much reinforcement on this. Like this,
put an elephant on
my rope bridge can hold like 4,000 pounds.
Perfect.
So I'm really confident.
It involves cabling.
Nice.
It involves multiple different sizes of nylon wrapped rope.
So
that, like, I mean, it's like it's crazy.
This is totally, you know, Swiss Family Robinson style. Like it's bad.
Nice. What do you do when you go away, guys?
That's a really good question.
It's a busy,
actually,
busy
you know,
time.
I spent a lot of time reading. Actually, catching up on books that I had been wanting to read for months, and I'm kind of a slow mover when I'm not on the road. So I just, you know, spent a lot of time, as much time as I could, with my kids, my wife, and caught up in the reading. Also, you know, maybe see some friends that you don't see normally on the road. You know, that kind of thing.
Do I still have to answer?
Yeah, totally.
I've got lots of hobbies. I love to take pictures, and I like to write. And so anytime that if we actually have any slow time, I mean, it's good to get space, mental space, can kind of clean the rest of the stuff out, and another creative outlet.
Now, Hanson's 20 years old. When I heard
Yes.
that, I remember you guys on TRL being like,
Yeah.
Hanson's 20 years old now?
Yeah.
So how does that work for you? Like, how do you grasp that you've been part of pop culture and part of your fans' lives for 2 decades?
Well, I mean, for one, we're proud of it. I mean, it's great to be able to look back a lot of time. It is, you know, you could get kind of freaked out by it. You go like, oh my gosh, you know, what's going on? We're too old. But the thing is, we started so young that it's such an amazing advantage. I mean, I was 14 when our first record came out. And so to go 15, 16 years down the line, we're still relatively young, and to be able to still do this and have the energy to do it. I think we're just amazed that we can, you know, this can still be our day job, and that there's a lot of fans that are still pumped for another record, and, you know, just proud that we're still standing, you know.
Well, it's also exciting because, you know, not a lot of people get the opportunity to not only call something like this their job, but it's actually, I mean, it is legitimately something that we really love doing. so you're in that scenario where you're, doing.
Speak for
something you love.
yourself.
Exactly. Speak for yourself.
It's like I
Thanks a lot.
treehouse.
He's been drug along for the last 12 years, the poor guy.
Exactly. He hates this. He hates me. He hates this
Yeah.
drum.
The thing is, there's a lot of, when you reach this point, you have to decide, really focus on the things that are important to you and recalibrate. Like I said, focusing on making this record, we definitely took a break before going to it and said, okay, next decade, like what are things that we want to do differently? What are things that we need to, communicate about? And it's sort of like it's like a marriage. You've been together for all these years. You got like, well, what do we all want in the future, to keep this band driving? And I think recognizing how each of us are totally different is a huge part of what makes the Insanity work. We're not the way the description we give is it's sort of like we all want to get over to that island, but we're all going there totally different ways. One guy's on a glider, one guy's on a jet boat, the other guy's built a submarine and he's slowly, coming towards it, So I think everybody has their way of making it work, and recognizing that is part of what it is to be a band and realize, your differences are your strengths.
You guys realize your classic birth order study.
We are?
As far as psychology goes, absolutely.
You mean the way that we interact?
Yeah.
I believe it.
Like textbook. They should do a textbook about you guys for psychology classes.
Well, yeah. Well, like for example, apparently
I'm
the
the
oldest is
middleman.
also the most successful.
Right.
Wait a second. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, we probably are. I mean, it goes on down the line, because we're the three oldest of 7 kids. Like, so there's a big whole complete spectrum of study that could be done.
What are the other
We will
Hanson
be the
kids
lab
do?
rats.
Where's their Grammys?
They're all over the place. I mean, our youngest brother actually makes an appearance in this video. Mac,
Awesome.
who's the other boy. He's an actor, a writer, comedian. He's kind of a little bit of everything. And we said, we need somebody to break it down in the middle of this video, and at the end you see him. There's 2 different guys, one with a huge beard, the other guy who is completely hairless. That's Matt. But he's awesome. And brothers and sisters, one of our sisters actually works for Hanson, and she's worked done our merch stuff for a long time.
She's part of the group of people that, the wheels would fall off without her.
Yes, she's a big part of the team. And then one sister is a painter, and she lives up in New York. And then one sister is 15 years old, still being a teenager. So.
Well, yeah, and our younger brother Mac, which is part of the reason why he's not in the band, probably, although we never really, auditioned him or anything like that.
He's 19.
He's 19. He was a lot younger than you were. You're like, hey, you want to join the band? Oh, yeah, you're one.
You want more. Sorry about that.
Sorry, I'm not going to have it.
But now, you were talking about merchandise before. I heard you on the phone being like, no, put the racing stripe higher. So you guys are involved in all the stuff you do. And
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, everything we do, especially more and more with social media and, it's visual presentation is such a big part of the way you perceive the art, perceive the music that we make. It's just a big part of what we want to do, and T-shirts to board games to whatever we're making, we want it to represent the band, and we only do it because we think they're cool. It's like the other day I was like, oh, we've got a song called Fired Up. We should make Zippos, because that would be awesome. Fire on the side, Hanson fired up,
Yeah.
Zippos. Let's do it.
The other thing too is recognizing that you have to kind of realize that you're bigger than a song. Especially to be independent. We're an independent band. We're self-managed. All of our stuff is in-house. Well, we have great people that we hire for different projects, but essentially it's us. It's our pocketbook, and you have to do things that people continue to attach to. So here's the song right in the middle, but around that is, let's launch a mobile app so people can connect with one another and send people messages directly. Let's do great merch. Let's do merch that's really out there. We're doing these packages for the new album where we did it on the last album. We're sort of continuing that tradition. We have custom paintings that have been done, and posters and special headphones with printing on them, and photo books.
Like Dr. Dre.
All that kind of stuff.
Just like Dr. Dre. Just like Beats. They're exactly like Beats
Exactly like
headphones.
Beats. So all that kind of stuff. It's just about making it interesting for fans.
Now, with you guys, I've had the privilege of chatting with you guys 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
For people who don't maybe know your journey,
Yeah.
will you guys ever, to the massive audience, get past Mbop?
I don't think we're trying to get
Or is that the
past-
mission, even?
I don't think the mission is to get past Mbop. I think the mission is just to add to Mbop. There's a lot of bands that have, succeeded, and then they go, oh, Radiohead's like, we don't play that album. You're like, you're kind of
Or I mean, it's a huge pet peeve of mine. I mean, I hate it when artists say stuff like, "Oh, that's not me anymore." First of all, it's like really narcissistic, and second of all, it's kind of like a big middle finger to your fans.
Right.
Where you're like, really?
We're proud of what we've been. I think what you know, at some level, it's sort of like who's the last band standing in the end. You know, I mean, we're never going to go away. We're always going to be making records, and at one point or another, we're just too stubborn to throw in the towel. And we have so many fans that have been stuck with us for years. So I think it's about taking where you've been, and as far as the crazy, you know, there are millions that have heard Bop. You know, you just hope to add things to the story.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I also feel like on some level or another too, we actually had a really lucky scenario early on because, in addition to like Zach talking about how kind of like involved we are in the merch. I mean, that's actually been the way it was from the very beginning. But in addition to that, like the songwriting and all that kind of stuff has just always been coming directly from us, and I think that that's a really unique scenario for people as young as we were when we first started out. And so, I think in some level or another, that's kind of what keeps you hungry too. Is you don't feel like you're recycling anything particularly. You don't feel like you're having to like reinvent it necessarily. You're just being yourself, no matter what. And the process of evolution just happens. This record is a lot more rock because it is.
Can we hear a little bit from the record?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you got?